Hey, welcome back, guys. Much has been made of Franklin's new romantic interest post-Melody, the alluring Tanosse. Some believe Tanosse is an asset to Franklin and his enterprise, proving herself to be a loyal companion time and again. However, many maintain that there's something off about Saint's new muse, and in today's video, we'll be exploring those possibilities and what they can mean for the gang going forward. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my channel donors. If you'd like to be the next one, drop $1 on that Cash App for us. Lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things Snowfall. Here we go. Infiltration is an art and a necessary component in any war. We were recently shown variants of this art in the hit film Judas and the Black Messiah, where an agent infiltrated an entire movement and even did some good along the way, following his deceptive-filled path. With this context in mind, every move Tanosse has made thus far will be dissected under the assumption of guilt. This will provide us with a sharper eye for inconsistencies that'll see past the niceties. Tanosse first appeared in episode 401, randomly spotted by Franklin and Jerome at the latter's New Year's celebration. Jerome clued us into her connection with Franklin, her being his first sexual encounter. As we all know, that first one holds a special place, and under these circumstances, provided an initial bridge for Franklin to inevitably cross. During their brief rekindling at the party, Tanosse stated that, quote, "It's important to keep those real niggas around you, the ones who was riding before you came up." This was a layered nugget that didn't just speak to Franklin's friendship with Leon, but his budding relationship with her as well. A seed was planted during their exchange that would later manifest, as we'll see. We next see Tanosse allowing Franklin entry into her home following his botched hit on Scully. Franklin pleaded with his rekindled love to gather information on Scully's mortality status, and she reluctantly agreed, not wanting to openly allude to her infiltration skills, one is to presume. She allowed Franklin further asylum and let him spend the night. If working as an alleged operative, then hosting a wounded subject would allow unlimited access to details regarding them. Saint instructed her to tell no one he was there, and when he turned to sleep, his pager was visibly flashed on his hip, and as a point of interest to the perp in question. When Franklin awakened, he did so in a shock and unable to find his pager. Tanosse pointed him in the device's direction, which was on the table and not on his hip like before. She then let him use her phone. Tanosse reappeared shortly thereafter at Louis' club and informed Franklin and his team that Scully was still breathing, and now it's more fire than air. After an episode off, Tanosse's relationship with Franklin elevated substantially past the point of mere associates. Cheek clappage is another essential commodity when engaging a subject. It naturally lowers one's defenses through unparalleled connection. The next major red flag in our unofficial Tanosse investigation was her employment in Louis' club. Franklin was unaware of such a change and taken aback by her presence there initially. Also, Louis questioned her own judgment, almost inquiring to the audience as much as Franklin himself when asking, "Was I wrong?" and trusting her via employment, correlating it to Franklin's own entrenched trust in his new boo. By working in the club, it provided her with the first look at Franklin's operation and its many indiscretions. In fact, much of the money and product itself was housed in the establishment. In another intimate moment, Franklin inquired about Tanosse's brother, almost suspiciously. Her brother is currently locked down and was recently transferred, which sparked the questionnaire. She lamented her brother's circumstances, but denied any assistance from Franklin monetarily. Another nugget of loyalty to sidestep suspicion, allegedly of course. Tanosse's recent act involved her corresponding with law enforcement in light of Fatback's murder by stabbing. Franklin had her call it in and feign ignorance to the tragic act. This brings us to our final question. If Tanosse is truly a shady character, just who is she being shady for? Asking who such knowledge against Franklin's crew would benefit is just as important as exploring Tanosse's potential treacheries. We'll dive into this by assessing Franklin's enemies and opposition. First, there's Scully's crew. Tanosse never admitted to knowing Scully outright, but she is familiar with some of his associates and did come up in the same area. Next, there's Manboy's crew. It's entirely plausible that Manboy would send someone to distract Franklin in an effort to topple him. He's already alluded to how strong Franklin is when he's focused, and we just recently saw evidence of this by Manboy sending a car to shadow Franklin in order to find his connect. I put nothing past him at this point. Following the obvious gang sets are the police themselves. Now, Franklin has a very tumultuous relationship with law enforcement, especially following his prison dismissal on account of Reed's interference. We know Tanasse's brother is locked down, and maybe to shorten his sentence, would she be willing to go against Franklin in favor of law enforcement and lightening that sentence? Plus, Franklin's neighborhood exploits and their effects are constant reminders of his growing power and the police's increasing powerlessness. And more importantly, Saint's murder of Andre might as well have been a declaration of war, and 12 always remembers. Finally, and perhaps most interestingly, what if Tanasse's presence is tied to Irene Abe? Irene and her ex-husband have spoken of a strained relationship with their unseen daughter, who lives somewhere in the city. What if Tanosse is somehow connected to the very woman trying to bring Franklin down by blood? That would be insane, but perhaps maybe far off. Jane, the daughter of Irene in question, was described additionally as living across the country and being a banker's intern. However, we also know that Jane and Irene don't speak, and she could very well be back in the city, sleeping with the enemy, assuming Jane and Tanosse are the same person, of course. A name switch here, a middle name usage there. We never know. It's all very compelling, but only time will tell. But what are your thoughts on Tanosse? Is she in Franklin's corner as much as she appears, or is she an op? Be sure to drop me your thoughts in the comments below. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, go ahead and drop $1 on that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are fans of Snowfall, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.